Because it was Churchill, he is still held in such high esteem and such affection. I mean, that we could, the watchmaker, we had, you know, a copy of his watch completely made, which was worth £70,000. And so things like that, to getting the authenticity of the Churchill sort of memorabilia. But the hardest thing to find was something called a clop. And he never went anywhere without a clop. Now, a clop we know is a hole punch. Right, he always wanted a hole punch. He uses those little sort of treasury tags. He hated staples. So it was all those idiosyncratic moments.
And the typewriters, the silent
and the silent typewriters. So it's all of those things that which you wouldn't know about until you started to research Churchill and his madness.
And the whole thing, you know, and it was the cigars were the same, and the Paul Roger champagne, and Jacqueline went to, as I'm sure she'll tell you, she went to the original tailors and got his original fabrics and measurements and all that kind of thing. So it was a very interesting kind of backing into something so real. And, you know, Churchill at the heart of the film was incredibly real in the way he was represented and Gary's performance and everything. And then as we go out, we are doing a feeling of what was that period and what was happening. And, you know, so it wasn't necessarily a kind of complete verbatim copy. But he was absolutely key.
There were so many scenes because there was Chartwell, there was Buckingham Palace, there was the House of Commons, which was interesting. It was bombed in the 40s.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, there's all sorts of talk. There was a set that kind of lived until about a year prior to us filming. And then there was talk of possibly shooting in the real House of Commons, but then we found out you can shoot in there, but you can't sit in there, which is kind of this weird law that you can't sit on the seats. So, so we decided to build it. And what was interesting is that the House of Commons that we know today was in fact built in the 1950s. And it was based on a simplified version of what was there, because in fact it got bombed in 1941. So the House of Commons we recreated as a set is based on the original House of Commons, and that was great because, you know, we could make it much grimier and dirtier and darker and much more lived in, which kind of suited the whole atmosphere of the film that we were, the atmosphere of the look of the film we were making.
And Joe could get those shots, couldn't he?
And of course, we're very used to seeing it in contemporary fashion. We're very used to seeing it kind of shot in certain ways. And because we were on the stage at Leavesden, it meant that, you know, Joe could have all his bells and whistles and toys and cranes. You could go outside the set and get those amazing top shots and things. And Bruno could light it beautifully as well.